Hey, what's up everyone? Thanks for tuning in. So this is the moment that nobody's been waiting for. How to make a street photography POV video. All right, let me first off and say, obviously this is all subjective. This is just a foundation that I kind of built. Do what you want with it. Maybe watch the entire video and do the exact opposite because, hey, you can learn more from watching a shitty movie than watching a masterpiece. So, hey, that's cool too, all right? So, first off, I wanna say this video is gonna be kind of weird in the sense it's gonna be kind of jumbled up into street photography, storytelling tips, and just kind of filmmaking 101 as well. So, should be kind of interesting. So firstly, I think people take the term street photography POV too literal. Like, it's point of view, so I gotta have a GoPro and I gotta film something like this, you know? It's POV, like, you know, like, no. So I just wanna get that out of the way because I take the term more figurative. So when I talk about a street photography point of view video, I'm talking about, oh, these are my thoughts, or this is how I shoot, take a trip with me, you know, this is a day in the life, that type of thing. Because I feel if you take things too literal, it's giving you no wiggle room to kind of experiment. Because if you say literal point of view, then all you're gonna show is a GoPro, you know, versus something a little more figurative. That way you can kind of wiggle and kind of experiment and do everything kind of to your liking, I guess, you know? So we're gonna start this video off in a pre-production phase, all right? So this is where proper filmmaking takes place. Everything has to happen in the pre-production phase. Even though this is a little YouTube video, silly point of view video, you still need some kind of pre-production phase. And a lot of the guts and glory in real movie making starts in production, but none of that happens so smoothly if you don't hammer out the work in pre-production. So you have pre-production, production, and post-production. So this will be the pre-production phase. And again, it doesn't have to be anything crazy. So in your pre-production phase, you want to figure out a location first, all right? A location. And in that location, you're gonna wanna find 3 spots. So 3 neighborhoods in this location, whatever. All you need is 3 things. And in this little storytelling tip, there's a rule in storytelling. It's like this, the magic of 3s. Everything kind of happens in 3s. I don't know why. It just, your brain just kind of absorbs things in 3s. So whether it's sketch comedy, whether it's improv, stand-up, YouTube filmmaking, all that, there's some kind of rule of 3. And so this is why I'm having you pick maybe 3 neighborhoods in this location. So let's say I used to do street photography in Venice, so I would start in Abbot Kinney, then I would go see the crazies on Venice Beach, and then I would do the actual beach itself. Or let's say if you live in New York, you start off in Lower East Side, then you go to Washington Square Park, then you go to Union Square. So always try to have 3 spots in a location, all right? And the next thing you want is you need to talk about story. Story, story, story. Like, I can't stress this enough. It doesn't have to be something exaggerated, like you have to read a hero's journey or something. You just need to figure out, what is your video about? What's the story, you know? That's it. And it can be as simple as, oh, I'm trying out a new 15mm lens. Or I'm trying to play with getting as close as possible to my subject. Or a theme, like today's theme or my story is going to be about love, something like that. You need to have some sort of story. Story, 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 all right? All right, so the first thing you wanna do when you get to spot number 1, so you have 3 spots that you're going to go to, spot 1, 2, and 3. You wanna set up some establishing shots. don't be confused with B-roll. Like, I hate this term B-roll. Let me just, this whole B-roll thing, like in real filmmaking, that's not a thing. Like, I've never written a short film or an actual film worried about B-roll. Like, that's not a thing. Not until a couple years ago when I started watching YouTube videos, there's all this stress on B-roll, B-roll, B-roll. And I was like, who the f cares about B-roll? Like, again, that's not a thing. Roger Deakins doesn't go up to the Coen brothers and be like, hey, Joel and Ethan, so rather than shooting at this, like a good honest shot between these two characters, what if I did 16 random shots at 120 frames per second? What do you think about that? Like, they would think he's f***ing crazy. Honestly, they'd probably let him do it because he's Roger Deakins. But anyways, again, that's not a thing. Like, worry about the A-roll. Who cares about the B-roll? Let me tell you something. People who worry about B-roll is because their A-roll sucks. I'm gonna repeat that. People who worry about B-roll is because their A-roll sucks. And the A-roll is the story. Like, think about the story, why you're actually filming and making movies in the first place. Who gives a f about B-roll, you know? That's like going on a date and, you know, you're having a good time and you're gonna go home and consummate, you know, that kind of relationship. And then that person starts kind of just masturbating. And you're just like, wait, what? I thought we were gonna have sex. Like, are we seriously just gonna sit here and jerk around? Like, or are we gonna f***? You know? That's what that is. Like, B-roll in 120 frames per second, it's just masturbatory scenes. It means literally nothing, you know? So what I'm trying to promote is intentional shooting. Shooting with intention, all right? So this isn't B-roll, these are establishing shots. And what I mean by that is you need to establish just where you are. Like, where are you, all right? So you're gonna give 3 establishing shots. Remember, rule of 3. So I'm going to show these 3 establishing shots just like this. Simple. Again, these things really don't mean anything. I'm kind of just making up these little rectangles. So 3 establishing shots, and I'm gonna give you 3 styles of establishing shot. Again, this is gonna sound so kind of archaic and very basic. Basically, what I'm trying to teach you guys is kind of just simple storytelling, simple filmmaking. It's almost like learning to read and write for the first time. You have noun and verb, adjective, noun, verb, like things like that, all right? So the first establishing shot is, I feel, the most underappreciated shot. And what that is just a beautiful still shot, or on sticks, which is on a tripod, or just keeping the camera steady by itself, like this. Just a beautifully composed shot. That's it. You're a photographer. You can compose a beautiful photo. Now just hit record. That's it. And what I do is usually I do it for 5 seconds, 1 1000, 2 1000, 3 1000, 4 1000, 5 1000. And I only really keep 3 seconds of it, whether it's the first 3, the last 3, or the middle 3 seconds of the footage. It just gives you some kind of leeway just in case something becomes out of focus or something cuts into frame. You kind of have that leeway, all right? So a very good static shot. And then the second establishing, you can just do kind of a up and down shot, something like that, or down up for easy safety purposes, just up and down. So up and down. And then the third establishing shot, just left to right. That's it. Static, up and down, left to right. Boom, you're established to where you are, all right? So that's represented here. 1, 2, 3. So now you're going to introduce your story. This is just going to be a little bit of FaceTime, all right? So I'm a firm believer in this. You have to have some FaceTime with the camera. You have to show your face. It's just a must in my opinion, because you need some kind of human element. And this is where you're going to tell your story. Like, oh, today I'm gonna go out and shoot. I'm here in London. I'm gonna try out this 15mm wide lens for street photography. I've never tried it before. Something simple like that. So you need this. This is a must. And I'm just gonna go out on the limb and say this. If you are trying to take photos like some of these photographers on YouTube, if you're trying to emulate their photos or you look up to their photos, shame on you. Just shame on you. Yes, shame, because there are legends. I'm talking about legends in photography that you should be studying, that you should be admiring. Not these damn YouTubers, because these YouTubers, they're actually aspiring to be Ansel Adams, to be Alex Webb, Sebastian Salgado. So if you try to aspire towards these guys, you're just a watered down version of these guys, all right? So you're not watching their videos for their photos. So why are you watching their videos? Is because their personality, who they are as people, whatever flaws, whatever everything. They're dry, they're funny, they're cute, they're kind of awkward, which is really endearing, just their whole production on who they are as people. So this is why I hate GoPro videos with just photos. Because where's the human element? There is none, you know? There's no connection to the people, to the video. And if you think that your photos can hold the weight of an entire video, bro, you can't. Your photos aren't that good. I'm just gonna go out and say it. I've said this about my own photos. This is why I've never ever done a video where it's just GoPro footage and photos, because dude, who the fuck am I? Like, my mediocre photos, your mediocre photos cannot hold the weight of an entire video. That's just simple as that, all right? I know that sounds kind of harsh, but hey man, sometimes you need a splash of cold water on your face. All right? All right, on to the next aspect. So this is where things get a little street photography interesting. So because you're a street photographer or a photographer, what you should be doing is worrying about photos. So what I'm going to have you do in this first spot, actually all the spots, just worry about taking photos. Enjoy yourself, take photos. Take 3, again, I'm just trying to make this rule of 3 concrete, but take 3 or 5 good photos that you're comfortable with in this spot, all right? So I'm just gonna pick 3. So these X's are going to represent 3. Boom, I've taken 3 good photos in this one spot. That's it, you're happy with them, you like it, you enjoyed yourself for 30 minutes, maybe an hour, whatever, all right? So now, this is where I kind of developed this myself. This isn't like a filmmaking term or whatever, I just kind of developed this. So what I do is after I go get the photos first, that's number 1, then I call this circle back around shots. So those images, those places I took, I circle back around and I get video of these 3 shots. So this here, this here, this here. So those 3 shots, I try to get video of in that area, or I try to get video of the scene. It doesn't have to be the exact scene. It doesn't have to be, I just need, it's almost like another establishing shot. You're setting up the shots. You're setting up video for the photos. So let's say there is some, I don't know, I'm at the London Eye, whatever. So I took a photo at the London Eye. than, let's say, London Bridge and Trafalgar Square. So now what I would do is I would circle back around and get video to accompany those images. All right, I call them circle back around videos. So now you have video that accompanies these images. All right, this is some kind of technique that I developed because I was like, man, I'm worrying about video and I gotta worry about photo. Man, this is making my mind melt. So what I would do is I would get the photos first, just have a good time as a street photographer, enjoy yourself, then circle back around and get video to accompany the photos. All right, cool. Now on to Act 2. Notice how I'm setting this up. Act 1, Act 2, Act 3. Setup, climax, resolution, denouement, whatever. Notice how I set this up. So now you're going to the second spot, all right? So this is what you want to do with this. You want to get some shots, some transition shots. Again, not B-roll. You need some transition shots. So what I'm trying to promote is shooting with intention, just not willy-nilly just shooting all kinds of stuff and then you're piecing it together. No, you are shooting with intention. So what some people would call B-roll, like, no, these are shots, transitional shots to get you from point A to point B. So what those shots could look like is literally now you're just walking, movement. I like to do shots of feet, or what you could do is, this is where you can do a time lapse, some kind of something to show that you're moving from point A to point B, all right? So now you're doing transition shots, 2, 3, whatever. Maybe roll of threes, you're gonna do 3, okay? So transition shots. B-roll, God damn, I hate this B-roll bullshit. All right, so now you're in spot number 2. So again, you're going to establish with some establishing shots the same exact thing. So these are going to represent some establishing shots here. 1, 2, 3. So now these are your 3 establishing shots. Again, a really good static shot, whatever, on sticks, this, then maybe one up, down, left, right. Again, it sounds so simple. Once you get used to it, you can play with it, the order, you can do whatever. You just need to establish the scene, all right? So now, again, just like last time, now you're gonna introduce some face time again. So now this is where the storytelling stuff comes in. So now you are more or less at the climax of the video, which means something has to kind of go wrong, some kind of tension, some kind of something. And please don't fabricate this or whatever, or, you know, just something happens, something good, something bad. So this is where you're like, oh, hey, I've been shooting, you know, for a while. Like, wow, shooting on a 15 is like really hard. Like, I've never done that before. I have to get super close. Or, hey, I'm working on getting close to people and, hey, I've been yelled at. Or, oh, it's been easier than I thought. Things like this. This is where you need to have some kind of friction or conflict or some kind of praise. Like, oh, it's going really well or whatever. Something has to happen, you know? And again, this adds to the human element. So what is actually a really good idea, I've been reading some comments on my last video, and if you're actually new to photography and street photography, this is actually a golden opportunity, because I can't go back 4 years ago and tell you my struggles with street photography. I just can't. I'm just at another stage of my photography. But you can. And this is the beautiful thing about just human nature and just storytelling, is people are more drawn to flaws, not Mr. Perfect or someone who thinks they know everything. Like, that's not interesting. Human flaws and struggles is actually interesting. So if you're actually new to street photography, express those feelings here. because it's just endearing and people can actually relate to it. And what's actually more cool is now you kind of have this time capsule of growth that you recorded. So if you're recording this now, so imagine 3 years from now, people can actually grow with you and see how you struggled and be like, wow, he like gets, this is the new Bruce Gilden, you know? He used to be scared to, you know, talk to people and all this, and now he don't give a. So that's the beauty of where you are at in street photography. It doesn't matter where in the spectrum, whatever. Express those feelings. And that is a perfect moment in this kind of climactic moment here. Right here. All right, so now we're gonna move on, and again, you guessed it, just you're gonna go out after you had some FaceTime, selfie time. You're going to go ahead and just focus on getting photos. Get 3, I'm gonna do 4. Four good photos right here. And after you got those 4 good photos, now you go for the circle back around footage. Now video footage. So this, here, 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 here. Now notice, none of this has to do with GoPros. I am very against just using a GoPro. But for me, in Act 2, you can see it in a bunch of my videos, if you rewatch it, this is where I introduced GoPro footage, just to give some kind of shot variation. But I use it kind of in the same exact manner. Rather than circle back video, I just put obviously the GoPro on my video, GoPro on my camera, and then I just show that process of me getting the photos. So this ultimately I don't use because I'm using the GoPro. But again, I only use that like once. If it's a very long video, maybe twice, but usually in Act 2. That's when I introduce a GoPro. But this whole thing, you don't need a GoPro. Or let's say your GoPro is the only video camera you have, take it off and use it like a regular camera, because you shouldn't handicap yourself to this fucking POV bullshit, you know? Use it like like you're actually making a movie. Like, oh my gosh, this is fun. Like, oh, I'm gonna get an establishing shot. Oh, then I'm gonna do this shot. Then I'm gonna do this shot, you know? So now, obviously, this is going to back up these shots here. Boom. Cool. All right, now we're on to Act 3. So this, you guessed it, not fucking B-roll. You're gonna get some more transition shots. You went from point A to B, now to C. Now you need to show how you got to point C. So another couple, 2, 3 kind of transition shots, you walking, you know, some kind of movement. This is where you can actually implement movement into the video, you know, take liberty. So, okay, cool. Now this one is gonna be a little different. I didn't give myself room for establishing shots. So again, you're gonna do establishing shots. 1, 2, 3. Here, all right? So again, some establishing shots, a nice shot on sticks or holding it like this, static. And then the second one, up, down, left, right, very simple. Obviously, you guys get the idea. You can play with this. So boom, there. So now, the third round, we're going to skip FaceTime. We're actually gonna save that for last, all right? So same thing, gonna have fun, get your 3 shots. Don't worry about filmmaking, just worry about being a photographer, a street photographer. Get those shots first. So you got 3 really good shots that you like. Now the circle back around video footage. So now this, that, there. All right, cool. So these circle back around video shots are going to accompany this. All right. And I'm going to show you in a little bit how this can all tie in together on a timeline. So don't worry, be cool. easy, all right? Chill. All right, now the last part of the video. You guessed it, some FaceTime. Here. So now with this, as with all storytelling, this is the resolution, the conclusion, whatever. However you felt about the day, you need to give your audience something. Again, this is like the cuddle portion of the video. You had the foreplay, you had the sex, now you have to cuddle. Don't be an asshole. Cuddle, all right? Just chill, lay around, kind of talk about things. All right, this is that aspect of the video. So you talk about what you've learned, what you've taken from it, how was it, all this type of thing. Like, will you do it again? You need to add in that FaceTime and give some kind of resolve to the day, all right? All right, so now this last aspect, I'm allowing you guys to steal this, all right? This is kind of like a Steelshare ad. Hey, how are you? Welcome to Steelshare. So in every video, why I introduced this into my videos is because I actually do this when I'm not taking video, where I'm just doing street photography by myself. My aim is to get one good photo. That's it, one good photo. So I want you guys to implement and steal this into your videos. Is like, all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you, I think, my best photo of the day. That way you're telling the audience all the other photos were like, meh, photos. They're more or less your contact sheet. So the audience nowadays, because this street photography point of view stuff, you know, has been around and overplayed for so long, people are getting hip and sophisticated enough to know that they're more or less seeing your contact sheet, all right? So now this is your opportunity to shine and be like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and show you my one good photo of the day. Here it is. And then they see it, they're like, oh, wow, that was really good, you know? And it just goes to show you that, hey, you're not a crappy photographer after all. You actually can take one good photo, you know? So this is your opportunity to shine, and this is your one get out of jail free card, is that one photo at the very end. All right, so now let me kind of show you what this could all look like in your timeline when you're video editing. I feel like an infomercial to where, oh, here's the finished product. All right. Boom, here you go. So if you're on Adobe Premiere, Final Cut, this is your timeline. And I went ahead and showed you what your timeline should kind of look like. So I set it up with some establishing shots. Boom, 1, 2, 3, just like here. I put in the FaceTime footage there. Then I did the circle back footage first, because again, these are just setting up your actual shots. So did some circle back shots, and then these are my 3 shots here. And then I have some transition shots, transition shots here. And then now we're on to Act 2, which is again, you started out with some establishing shots here, put in some FaceTime, so some kind of climax, some kind of, you know, thing that you're dealing with, friction, maybe it's a good thing, maybe it's a bad thing, and then circle back footage, then shots, and then transitional shots, not B-roll. I'm trying to impose and teach shooting with intention, all right? And then now again, some establishing shots, 3 shots, static, up, down, left, right, and then you have your circle back around shots, shots, and then you end it with FaceTime. You got yourself a video, you know what I'm saying? Now let me show you what a GoPro video with just shots look like. This, wow. Look how interesting that timeline looks. Wow, you got GoPro footage, and then you got mediocre shot, shot, that's it. That doesn't look like an interesting story at all. Just look at the physical, like look at this. I'm gonna fold this. This is a video. This is a film. This is something interesting. This is just lazy bullshit. This ain't interesting at all. And I'm telling you, your photos ain't that good for me to keep, watching. Just simple as that. I know that because my photos aren't that good. Like everybody on YouTube, like just whatever. All right. So cool. So now you guys know how to make a street photography point of view video. Now this is where things get kind of cool. This blueprint is the same blueprint you can use for travel videos. This is the same blueprint you can use for vlogs. Once you kind of master and play with it and all this, now you can do climax here, all that, you can switch and move. So do me a favor. I'm not kind of like boasting, but if you go back and look at my film and food series, go back and I'll put a link in the description. The one of Spain or Italy, it follows the same exact outline. So I've kind of just upped the street photography POV and I mixed travel and I mixed vlogs, all that. It's all stems from this. I'm telling you, when you guys watch my videos now, especially the street photography ones, you're gonna be like, huh, this motherfucker is just doing the same shit. Of course I'm doing the same shit. Like this, I practice what I preach, all right? So cool. That's it, guys. So now I don't ever want to see a GoPro video ever again. Like I'm dead serious. Like if I ever see one, like trust me, even for my friends on YouTube, like whatever, I'm not watching it, like straight up. Like you guys know better now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Just add some storytelling, add some filmmaking, because this is fun, I know it's a little pain in the ass, but trust me, it's fun. Once you start playing with the ideas, start experimenting, like, oh, maybe I'm gonna do this as a transition shot, or, oh, what about this dope establishing shot, Not B-roll. All right, guys, that's it. That's my big old secret. So, yeah, I guess be cool, be nice, be sexy, be positive. Enjoy, have fun, keep shooting. Shoot, shoot, shoot. All right, cool.